this is Suprava. Welcome back to another session of Modern Concept of Childcare. In today's session, we will be discussing about grief and bereavement. So first, let us see what is the meaning of grief. So grief is a psychological or physiological responses that a person experiences after the loss of a significant person or object. So when there is loss of something such as a loss of object or loss of a family member or loss of any kind of relationship, a person experiences certain responses such as physiological or it can be psychological responses. So that is what is grief. Now, what is bereavement? So, bereavement is a state of desolation or unhappiness that occurs as a result of loss. So, basically, we can say that bereavement is a subjective response. So, from the time the grief starts, so when there is a loss, for example, if we talk about death in the family, right? So if there is a loss of a family member, and when the grief starts, when the person starts experiencing the psychological, the physiological responses from that time to till the time when the person actually cope up with with the situation, that whole time period, that is called as bereavement. So basically, it is a subjective response towards the loss. So grief is the response, the physiological or the psychological response the person experience after loss of a family member or object or any kind of relationship. And bereavement is a subjective response. It is the state of desolation or unhappiness. So that whole state is called as bereavement. Now we have different stages of grief. So basically there are 5 stages of grief, that is denial, anger, bargaining, depression and acceptance. So these are the 5 stages of grief. So to remember this, we often call it as DABDA. So DABDA, that is DABDA. So with this, you can remember the stages of grief. So the first one is denial. So let us see what do we mean by this stage or what actually happens during this stage. So this is the first step. In this step, we can basically see that there is a shocking response from the person. So it is also, sometimes it is called as shocked phase, where the person will be shocked by the fact that has happened. Well, so basically in this stage the person denies from the fact. So we feel like why, like it's not me, it did not happen with me, and the person denies that the loss actually happened. So basically in this stage, the person denies that the loss has taken place, and they withdraw from any kind of social contact. So this is the phase of this is the stage of denial. And from the name itself, you can remember that in this particular stage the person denies that the loss has actually taken place. So here, when we are talking about a pediatric client, basically during this stage, the child does not believe, or he denies with the fact that such kind of loss has actually taken place, or it has actually happened. So this is what happens during denial stage. The next stage is anger. So here basically the child experience anger, and they feel, why me, why did it happen with me, and they cry uncontrollably and become angry. So they may be furious at times, and their anger might be towards the whole world for letting it happen, for that actual the loss that has taken place. So this is what happens during the stage of anger. After the denial, and then comes the anger stage, and the third stage is bargaining. So here, the child can bargain with God or any other persons or themselves, that if if they are allowed to do certain things, they would promise to do something. So when they realize that the loss has actually happened, and uh, they start to bargain with God, they start to bargain with other people, whoever is there around him. So be the family members, or if they are in the hospital settings, in that case they bargain with the healthcare team, that if they are allowed to go home, they would they would promise to be good, and whatever they are told to do, they would follow those things. So in this stage, basically they bargain with people to alleviate the grief. And after bargaining, there comes depression. So here, basically, you can see that they become less reactive, and although you can see that there might be anger or sadness underneath, but here the child becomes really, and you can see that they feel numb. So when after bargaining the things are not done, or the griefs it's not alleviated, they start to feel depressed. So in this stage, basically you can see that the child will be less reactive, and they are less reactive to the situation, and to the to any kind of incidents. And after this depression phase, there comes acceptance. So basically here the child starts to accept the fact, they starts to realize that the loss has happened, why it has happened, and what is the reason behind it. So basically they starts to accept the loss, and also they starts to accept the change. So at the first stage we can see that they would deny with the fact, they would deny that the loss has not taken place, it did not happen actually. And then after denial, so the first step we saw that there will be denial. So the child would deny with the fact that it did not happen actually, or the loss has not taken place. And then after this stage of denial, there will be anger. So in this stage, basically the child would be angry towards towards the world, basically, for letting this happen, for letting the loss happen. And then after the stage of anger, there will be bargaining. So they would start to bargain with God, they would start to bargain with other people around them, and they would give condition that if they are allowed to do something, they would promise to be good, they would promise to listen to them. So here basically they would try to bargain with people to alleviate their grief. And then when after bargaining also things are not done, they would go for depression. So in this stage, basically we can see that the child will be depressed, the child will become less reactive towards any kind of situation, and they would become numb. So once this depression phase is over, after that there comes acceptance. So during this stage, the child would basically starts to accept that the loss has taken place, and the reason behind the loss. So they would basically accept the change also, due to the loss, that they're experiencing the change. So these are the five stages of grief. Now next we will look at different developmental stages, and we will look their reaction towards grief. So first we will see birth to 2 years of age, and then ages 2 to 5, ages 6 to 9, ages 9 to 12, and ages 13 to 19. So first, let us see birth to 2 years. So birth to 2 years, there can be different types of loss, but basically, loss can be death of a caregiver, or there can be loss of a primary caregiver due to birth of a sibling, or there can be removal of primary environment. So these are some of the loss that might be might be seen in this age group, that is birth to 2 years of age. So basically here what happens, the sense of security and well-being is challenged. So the child starts to feel insecure, and the feeling of well-being, that is challenged in this age. And they starts to feel unfamiliar with the surroundings. So what we can see is that there can be excessive crying or other anxiety related behaviors. So here basically we can see a separation anxiety, as they are too young to process the information of death and perceived death. So we can see the most common reaction that we can see is separation anxiety. Next is ages 2 to 5. So here they may get a feeling of sadness, anxiety, insecurity. Also, they might be irritable. And in this particular age group, they tend to believe that death can be reversed. So they think that it is a temporary state and the person can come back. Well, so this is what we can see in ages 2 to 5. And the next, let us see ages 6 to 9. So during this age group, they are, they would be able to understand the biology of death, and they would be, able to comprehend the finality of it. So basically, in this age group, they become fearful. They develop a fear associated with death. Also, we can see a feeling of insecurity that may be expressed when and they would be reluctant to get separated from their caregiver. So some child may be hyperactive, aggressive, while some child may be sad or withdrawn. And we can also see that they might have difficulty in sleeping, nightmares, and they may show some sort of regressive behaviors. The next one is ages 9 to 12. So in this age group, what is the reaction? What is the grief reaction that and let us learn that. So by this age group, they starts to realize and understand that this is a final event. That death is a final event, and it happens to everyone. So here, even if they are sad, they are withdrawn, they have a strong need to control their feelings, but at the same time they have a great difficulty to do so. But at this age group, they understand that what death is, and they are able to process the information. And then comes ages 13 to 19. So basically, adolescents, they may have difficulty coping with the situation, and that might be for a long time, that might be for from months to years. So in this age group, we usually see that they isolate themselves from others, and they may also engage themselves in risk taking behaviors, such as reckless driving, drug or alcohol use, sexual promiscuity, or such kind of activities. So in this age group, when they undergo grief, they become more easily distracted. And we can see both the thing, they may perform better in the school, or they may perform worse in the school. Both the things can be seen, it depends on the child. And they display a strong mood changes, and along with that there might be difficulty in sleeping and eating. So these are the grief reaction according to ages. So today we discussed about grief and bereavement. So grief is a physiological and psychological response that a person experiences, after a sudden loss. So the loss can be loss of object, loss of a family member, or loss of any kind of relationship. So that is what is grief. And then we learned about bereavement. So bereavement is the state of desolation or unhappiness. So the whole period from the time the person experience grief, till the time the person cope up with the situation, that whole state or the whole period is called as bereavement. And then we learned about the several stages of grief, and there we learned that there are 5 stages of grief, that is denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And we can remember this by Dabda. So these are the stages of grief, and then we learned that based on their age group, how their grief reaction will be. So this was all about grief and bereavement. I hope you have got a better insight about the topic. Thank you.